Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition. As you can hear Milbo in the back there, getting us some serious real life Mark I said, right? One of my favorite Liberian musician, gospel musicians. My man, what you call it a song for? My dancing star would bring echo,
Yeah, my man. But the
yeah,
thing about it is that I gotta wait until when you start, then don't get play the song, But this song actually, this is
my man, I
the
want dance. I want
we say
dance.
the redeeming song because the song been around for a very long time, and you want to dance. So what you do for us is that because we're not going to be dancing alone. So what you do, just go on YouTube, check for the song,
My
and play
man,
it for the audience.
my
Like
man,
because feeling of liberty. What happened to this feeling of
my man,
liberty?
why you playing the song? Why you playing the song in Zico? I
Uh,
is you. I want shake it. We are shake it for two. What kind of problem is
seriously,
this?
seriously.
My man, I want dance.
And I can sense it. I can really sense that from you.
Yeah,
But
man.
yes.
But anyways, let's welcome our people. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to today's edition. Today we have an interesting conversation here for you, those in the diaspora and those back home. Today we're playing host to Councillor Aloysius Toe, uh, who is currently, and I stand to be corrected, is the Secretary General of the ANC. And also, I think by extension, again, I stand to be corrected here, the CPP. So we have some updates from that end. The good thing about it also, he's also a counselor at law who's been around in Liberian politics. So they're not mutually exclusive. We have the opportunity to speak with him concerning some national issues. But it's interesting that we also want to talk about, some of the efforts by some diasporans who are seizing on the newly brought in law by the we-led government that those in the diaspora, once a Liberian, always a Liberian. As a matter of fact, it was mentioned in the nation of the address most recently, the speech, the SONA. It was mentioned, the president that it's one of his accomplishments. So today we have a lot of things to talk about. Share the show, guys. We will be bringing other news really quick. Our guest is working his way up here for this conversation. So, Milborn, let me welcome our people first. Today is Sunday, the 5th of February. We are a few more days for lovers to profess loves all around the world. We know you're not going to be easy. Seku will be joining us very soon. We're begging you. Your Valentine Day thing and all the thing. You don't Milborn, you don't punish all the year. We beg you. We beg you. Brother, you don't punish all. Don't flower the roses, then you'll be off.
The problem is that we got to unveil.
Hello.
So we have to unveil the vow. And
Oh,
the only way that we can do that is on Valentine's Day. So you just got to excuse us for some of our, maybe, should I say, our weekend behavior or our behavior. Yeah. So I need to borrow that word from one of my colleagues, Augustine Sa, who always saying that, excuse him for his, or if I don't have problem with it, with him for his weekend behavior.
well, Milborn, today is Sunday.
Mhm.
And we like to welcome the Liberian people. Like I've always said, and I continue to say, the Liberian people are the most important people on earth. But most importantly, I believe that the Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth. Mama, what do you think about that? Because that the part you let, that the part that can make you to be in, yeah, what's going on?
And that's one of the best part about the entire broadcast. Whenever you say Liberian women are the most beautiful women on earth, and
Mhm.
then you made the entire broadcast so interesting. Apart from that, another thing that's also
Yeah,
but
I don't want
anyway,
to follow it now that the
thank
missing.
you.
We can call it
I see.
missing in like brother, get the missing.
Thank you. Yes, man.
But my man, something before we get to the musical break here to welcome
Hmm.
our guest when the guest shows up. Since
Hmm.
we have just few time here, some
Hmm.
time here, some prevailing issues in the countries, such as I listened to President George Weah this morning taking serious swap at Prince Johnson. I mean, this word by mouth and in a church at that rate. And today is Sunday. What do we say? We got some of us who are from a Christian, from the Christian faith or religious background, have said it openly that the church needed to put its foot down. Let him keep politics out of the church. If the president wants to throw a job, he got Jamaica Resort. Same thing applies to Prince Johnson. He can go to his office. He can go, but using the church to throw political jobs and make it load at a place where they can go to talk to each other and get, in director. I mean, what would Jesus say about this? What do you think, my man?
Yes, and brother, you are correct. I think this is one of the major problems that some church members, or in fact Christians, some Christians community have with some politicians or with some of the churches, allowing politicians, to use the church as a way of throwing jabs, or maybe as a way of, or maybe insulting, or maybe just saying some political things that are not just necessary. And because the people go to church for one thing. Look, people are not telling the people that you go to church so that your sin can be forgiven to the Almighty God, so that you can be that good Christian, or so that you can be that good person. But instead, they take the things of the world and carry it into the church and be discussing and manipulating the mind of the people. So Senator Prince Johnson always doing that. The president too also, always doing that. So it's just in fact, normal thing in Liberia is bad. It's
Yes.
absolutely out of order. For me, I see that as totally unacceptable. You don't do that.
It,
If you
it,
want
it-
to talk about things after the war, don't bring it into the church business. No.
yes, it's unacceptable, like you said. It's bad. But I see it, the words the way you're using to describe it, I agree with it, but I want to add up to it to say it's very dishonoring to the Christian religion.
Mhm, mhm.
It's undermining a sense of bad image and representation of the Christian faith. You you don't go to church to use the pulpit to throw jab. And I've always asked this question though: why they can't do that thing in the mosque? You can't try that foolishness in
And,
the
and,
mosque.
and, and, and let me just add on, my brother, even to the extent that you will see some churches, when someone is accused of maybe criminality or maybe stealing or something, you will see the pastors or some bishops or so on, they will come out and say, we are praying for this person to change. How will you pray for a criminal, someone who is not even willing to even confess their sin, but you want to pray for them? So all of these things, I just
My man,
mentioned.
the people,
uh,
the people,
yeah.
the people banjo Christianity.
Mhm.
And the one that can help me is the
Mhm.
pastors, the people who are good Christians, who are trying their best to follow the way of God and to follow the scriptures, are very mute and quiet. And in all reality, they should be the ones speaking out. We say, okay, 1 minute they will say the Constitution say, and the politics should be different from the church. But are they same politicians that can kind of church that they play they control their jobs and fight, that they play they control gossip, that they play they
Eh,
control?
eh,
It's
Let
where
me
we
just tell you, since today is Sunday and you're talking about this, my brother, that is seeing politicians that are in government cycle, that's stealing the government money, that are making the people life to look bad, or that in fact are making even everything worse here in Liberia. That is seeing politicians, some of these politicians have been crowned as Father of the Year in some of the churches. You crown someone. No, then that brought, in fact, for me, this is why I keep saying, my brother, these are all Pharisees behavior. People behave like Pharisees. They know everything, right? No, when Jesus Christ came, he said that all these people that you're seeing around, so all the Pharisees, you just see, they know the Lord, they know everything. But because they don't want to follow, because they don't want to say the truth, and they don't want to live by the truth, so they do things of the world. So
yeah.
some of us,
Go ahead, finish your thought. Let me. I got some kind of quick. I want to bring us something quick, but finish your thought really quick.
all right. So for some of us who are Christians, true Christian, because Christian are just Christian, and I can be Christian, but being Christian, it will not take you to heaven. That's another thing. Sometimes you can be Christian, but if are you truly doing the word of God? If you truly do the word of God, that's going to take you to heaven. So Christian are just relation that people say, yes, I'm Christian. Okay. So which type of Christian are you? Are you bench warmer, or are you that Christian that's really working hard for God? Like if
Yeah.
you read, yeah,
No, go
yeah,
ahead.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. So, but I wanted to, I don't want to because the guest could be here anytime. I wanted to chip in on some other situations in the country.
Mm.
or out of the country because it's important. Like we said yesterday, we're going to update our people. We've been following up with the Joseph Yuma Boyka camp as part of the news. In other news, but in other news, we've realized that and we hope that they can speak to this. Joseph Yuma Boyka has his handler Henry Costa has announced that he will be having a fundraiser on Thursday through his foundation. But here, which is their right to do so. But here is the place the yo-yo could come from, or the noise, or the question would arise. And when we say these things and we get these guys cues from the beginning, they say we hate the papi, we hate the person, we hate that person. Oh, you're this other person, man. But there is a huge concern here. No, there is a huge concern here because the foundation, unless contrary, and I hope that they would speak to that and make some publications so that the foundation or the pape himself is not into any kind of legal quagmire in this country, or the foundation itself, as of April 11, there was a publication in the African Star, because the foundation was founded in Rhode Island, registered in Rhode Island, 501c3, but the foundation, I have the documentations to it here, has since been, they've been revoked. That foundation has been revoked. So in other words, you can't take money in the name of a 501c3 organization that is not, operating or whatever, unless there's an update. Then maybe they can inform the public, but we have to bring that because like I always say, and sometimes people think you don't like the group, you don't like the person. It's not about liking, but these are issues that could arise down the line that we need to pay attention to. And so we're sounding the alarm today that, hey, they need to provide some clarity and context, because you don't want to do anything. We see the situation that Stanton is in. And this is how it starts. When the IRS and other people start to investigate, if you collect money now in any other foundation, then it becomes a problem. So, this is one of the publications, and we'll hope that, this can be addressed. Again, this is not an allegation. His handler, Henry Costa, posted it. It's public that they're going to be doing a fundraiser. I wish them the best. But the only question is, have they renewed their, the foundation's status or standing with the IRS or with the government on this side? And mind you, this is not the CDC government or the Liberian government that you can go, and go get small things to and change things or the backdated. It doesn't work that way, but I have the publications here of the division, business service division of the Office of Secretary of State. I have the publications here. I'm looking now. So these are all things that as we get our guests here, but these are all things that we just want to bring to the public as part of the updates, because these are the foundation, the basic things that need to be done to set the stage here for stuff. Milburn, what do you say in a minute before we get to the musical break, and then we'll welcome our guests? What do you say? What do you think?
All right. So Steve, let me say thanks for the updates coming from your end. Even though you I don't know whether the entire updates is complete or completed, and then that because there's that news about the CEO. I think you guys always have to be updating us as to what's happening, because he's a Liberian, and we want to know as to how far is that case ongoing. But we haven't get any news from that, or maybe from you people about that case. But howbeit, yes, so Liberia is cool, and today is Sunday, as you said already. There are a lot of things happening, a lot of political activities that took place over the weekend. And today again, you already heard that the president also throwing jobs. People use the church now and then, where maybe they see that because maybe people go there to worship. So they're always throwing jobs. And Liberia is peaceful, as we're always saying that Liberia is peaceful as we go about with our normal activities here in Liberia. We got 247 more days to go into the October 10th, 2023 election. So remember, so maybe quickly before we go, we have to look at the book of in the New Testament, Ephesians 5:16, redeeming the time because the days are evil. So I don't know.
My man, you switch up. You switch up on me from journalist to men of God. Wow, men of God. My man, we'll talk the men of God after that. Let's get to the musical break. We can bring on our guests because of time's sake, so that we can have enough time to ask him questions and also have the opportunity for our people to interact with him. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't change anything. Stay right there. We have our guests in the back. We just want to quickly get to a short musical break here as we welcome our guests. Uh, Please share the show while you are at that. We want to say thank you to our viewers and our listeners. At some point, we will have the Cash App listed on here. But let's get to the quick musical break here, really quick. This will take, few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, and we get back here. Okay, our guest was just in there, but I think he left. He will be back. We also anticipating Sekou. Sekou should be following. Sekou should be joining us very soon. But in the meantime, like I said, we have a lot to talk about today. Please share the show. Some of you have not shared the show. We are please share the show, guys. Please share the show. Our guest, again, a lot of things to talk about here today. So we are hoping to have him back on as soon as possible. We want to have the documentations here. Quickly, Milbon, just before the guest gets back here, I wanted to clarify this thing here to you.
Mm-hmm.
And really, really quick here. I know yesterday we talked about the nomination or whatever ceremony, however you want to term it, however everyone. But the question that I've been thinking about throughout this day is okay, I think our guest is loading here in the back to come on. Okay, let's get a guest. Hopefully we can get our question in at some point. But let's get the guest on. Good afternoon, good evening, Councillor Toe. How are you?
Good evening, Steve. How are you? I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Yes, doing very well. Welcome to SKTV again. And how is the country? How's everything?
Well, what the French would say, comme ça, not so good, not so bad. We have to do what we can do.
Okay, I'd like to start off by saying congratulations to you in Nema County for your most recent victory. And in that same light, I would like to also, that we've been suffering for interpretation for the song that we play. you mind helping us to interpret our song? We beg you. We want to know what that lady is saying, please. I'm not sure if the counselor can hear me.
Unfortunately, I'm not from Nimba, so I'm not in a position to interpret. I'm from Grand Creek County.
Oh, so
well, because I need to.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me?
Are you hearing?
Yeah, I think there's a delay in the feedback from you.
Yeah,
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
I think he got to.
Okay, he said he hear me. Can you hear me now? It's much better. Yeah, I think there's a delay. Councillor Toe, do you mind going out and coming back, please?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay, he can hear loud and clear. Well, you are not from Nima. I was hoping that you could really help out with the interpretation. But anyways, hopefully we'll play.
Are you hearing me?
Yes. Would you mind going out and coming back in, please?
Yeah, I think that would be good because it's giving our audience in a radio land.
Mr. Kanye, while we are with our guests here, welcome. What's going on?
They look very serious, though.
No, you know why I look very serious, Mabel?
No,
because Steve is not fair.
I congratulate you.
Because when it comes to Nimba, Steve knows very well. I already give him the meaning, the definition of that song. How strong we are, how powerful we are. When it comes to anything, we are all the way up there. But it made just jealous.
Okay.
Looking for somebody to come and give a counter meaning to what I said. And the meaning will still remain the same. Even you go call Omar all the way from Kenya to come and interpret for you, it's going to be the same thing. Jealousy. Nimba is just Nimba. We're just powerful.
Yeah, but Mr. Kane,
just strong.
Mr. Kane, welcome to the show.
In everything. Thank you, but I don't want to correct you before you welcome me.
Okay, no problem.
It's a mess serious today.
Yeah,
it's a mess serious.
It's not fair when it comes to Nimba. They're just jealous.
Councillor Toe, are we better now? Can you hear us?
I think his internet is the problem. I can tell from here.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but it's getting clearer now.
I'm not even sure. I'm not sure who CPP internet not working. I don't know what's going on.
If you are using the other GMSM or maybe the other network company, I think you got to change it and switch to another company and see. If not, then I think we'll not get anything out of you.
Councillor Toe, can you hear us?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. Are you hearing me?
You're hearing loud and clear,
yes.
but you're everything not loud and clear.
We are hearing you as well. Is it much better now?
I'm hearing you. Yes, correct. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, great. Well, let's. I know this is not your first time here with us, so for others who are just joining, who might not know who Aloysius Toe is, Councillor Aloysius Toe, would you please, briefly let us know who Councillor Aloysius Toe is and what is your role in the CPP and the ANC?
Currently, I'm the Secretary General of the ANC and by extension, the Secretary General of the CPP.
Okay. Who is Aloysius Toe though? Because some people are just...
I'm a Liberian. I hail from Grand Creek County. I've spent some years, quite a number of good years in advocacy for human rights in Liberia. And currently I'm a politician and at the same time practicing law.
Okay, politician and practicing law. It's good to have you on, Councillor Aloysius Toe. I'd like to start off the conversation by, getting our feet wet. You did tell us that the country is comme ci, comme ça, which means interpreted in French as some way, somehow, whatever you want to term it as. You listened to the president's most recent address to the nation. What do you say from a political standpoint, from a legal standpoint? What do you say?
That was just a political repetition of some of the campaign slogans that the president intend to introduce. That is far from the reality. That is far from the living conditions, the living experiences of ordinary Liberians. as far as the president and his inner cycle, a few privileged few are concerned, the president's speech resonates with their welfare. But in terms of the general conditions of ordinary Liberians, that is quite a contrary.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Toe. Sekou, I'd like for you to, I don't know if you guys want to ask him any introductory questions before we get into the nitty-gritty here. It's up to you.
Yeah, I can. First of all, I want to say welcome back to Councillor Toe. Councillor Toe, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well, Sekou. How you doing? Long time.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure seeing you too.
All right. So just when you said you were the Secretary General for ANC and by extension, the Secretary General of CPP, what is the state of affairs of the CPP today compared to yesterday?
The CPP currently comprises the Liberty Party and the Alternative National Congress, LP, and the ANC. And we are, unlike yesterday, where its composition was reflective of 4 political parties. Today, there are 2 political parties, and with a lot of support base from many Liberians, independent Liberians, and groups of Liberians who are flooding to support the CPP. Currently, the CPP is preparing, is gearing towards massively engaging grassroots communities in preparation for the October 2023 elections.
Okay. So speaking of the CPP yesterday and that of today, a lot of people think that the CPP is growing in terms of getting individuals, gearing towards the institution, but in terms of the parties, in terms of growing the collaborations, it seems like you guys are kind of stuck, not moving anywhere, because since the CPP was somehow reunited, let's say, rejuvenated, in other words, it was just the CP, the ANC and the Liberty Party. So we were told that CPP was open to bringing on other parties. Since that time up to where we are, we are already in the election year, we are not seeing any addition. Is it because you guys are close? You guys close the door for many people, or you guys are not reaching out? Because I listened to somebody in the other parties that nobody have ever reached out to them for them to join the collaboration. So are you guys sitting waiting for people to come by themselves, or you are making effort to bring other people on board? I'm talking about other political party, because just being you, ANC, and the Liberty Party, and Liberty Party that's somehow fragmented, regardless of where you find yourself, that is just a fact. Liberty Party is the legitimate Liberty Party is with the CPP, but stay, however, a fragmented one. Adding other party on there could have presented a different picture of the CPP. Why is it that no other party have joined CPP since you guys came back together?
Firstly, we are not. The door is not closed. The door is open to other political parties, and from where I sit, I can tell you with authority that I have in my possession 5 letters expressing intent from major and leading political parties in the country, including one coalition to join the CPP. Yes, you might be right. The process has been slow, but this is common with political processes. So individuals and political parties, 5 political parties, have expressed interest to join the CPP. Those applications are under consideration. Backdoor discussions have been going on. Serious engagements have been going on. In fact, behind the scene, we've been collaborating. Although formally the decision has not been made and announced, as to incorporating these political parties, but rest assured, these parties are going to come on board. And their letters expressing their intent to join the CPP will be given due consideration.
Will you mind telling us some of those parties? Because I mean, and can you tell at least a timeline as to when should we expect those parties to be approved or not approved? When should we expect these parties, on board? When? Because we're already in election year.
Since I don't have the authority on this platform to disclose the names of those political parties, even though I know them, but I can tell you with confidence and with authority that not later than the end of March, the CPP should be able to make decision as to how many political parties they are going to collaborate with in terms of membership to the CPP and how many individuals are going to be accorded, or groups are going to be accorded affiliate membership. That decision is likely to be made no later than the end of March.
Steve, back to you. I have a lot of questions, but I will reserve them for later.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Councilor Aloysius Toe, I want to. When you say you don't have the authority, how does that work? Who announces people that want to? Who does that?
The National Executive Committee will have to make a formal decision authorizing me to disclose to the public the names of those political parties. That decision has not been made by the National Executive Committee, so I cannot speak on my own without authorization from the National Executive Committee on that particular issue.
That makes sense. Let's stay with the CPP here really quick on the CPP, ANC, and Liberty Party. Let's stay with them really quick. How far are we with the 70K? What's going on? Any updates?
Well, the Tim Cummins team will be in a better position to respond to that question. But to the best of my information, the individual who was suspected of stealing the 70,000 United States dollars was arrested by the Liberia National Police. According to my information, he was processed to court, and he's awaiting trial before the court.
Okay, that's interesting. He's awaiting trial. He was processed to court. For clarity's sake and for context sake, is it just one individual, which is, I think, this individual that we're all aware of? Is it just one person so far and the case is closed, or are we anticipating more names or more suspects?
One individual has been charged by the Liberian National Police, and there's no indication that other individuals were involved. I have not heard any confessions from that individual, and I have not seen any charge sheet from the Liberian National Police implicating any other person. So it will be safe for me to say it is one individual at this time.
Would the CPP be seeking any reimbursement or payment for that 70K? Because that a lot of money that we put in the Liberian pool voice, a lot of money that you'll be asking that man to pay back.
Well, it is not a matter for the CPP. It is a question of law. When you steal, the law requires that you restitute in addition to any punishment that will be meted out against you.
Okay. Restitution. All right, that makes sense. Well, let me ask Milburn here if he has any question. Milburn, do you have any question for the councilor before we move on?
Yes, the councilor, let me say Happy New Year. And sometime, that was last year when we did interact on the same platform.
Yes, I remember very well.
Thank you. So I can say recall. Thank you so much. So Happy New Year to you and the entire team. Yeah.
Many happy returns, my brother, to you and your family. And to you, Sekou.
Thank you.
All right, so that's good. So now you are the Secretary General for the CPP and all the ANC, and by extension the CPP. With the latest news, I don't know whether you follow the social media with Mr. B, Mr. C. I don't know. Are you a little bit aware of what's going on? What kind of I don't know, should I say abbreviation is that? And what's the secret of something happening behind the scene? You care to tell us?
Who is Mr. B? Who is Mr. C? I have no idea. I can speak to speculations. When I speak on this platform, especially if I'm asked a question, as Secretary General of the ANC and the CPP, any statement I make should represent the policy and official position of the ANC and the CPP. So I cannot dwell into speculations. I don't know who is Mr. B, who is Mr. C, unless you can tell me what those specific statements are, and who you think is Mr. B and who is Mr. C.
All right, so quickly before we go, yeah. So Mr. B is Honorable Joseph Imambuakai, and Mr. C, as according
Yeah,
to the
people
information.
say it's believed to be. It's not
Okay,
confirmed. Yeah.
all right, thank you. All right, so no problem. Thank you so much for that correction. It's
Yeah.
believed to be Honorable Joseph Imambuakai and that Honorable Alexander B. Cummins. But let's move forward with this about the former Deputy Information Minister Eugene Nangbe posted on a Facebook page, I think 1 or 2 days ago, saying that seeing the leg of the LPDP, the ANC, and the group of all the opposition coming together. I don't know. Are you guys also thinking about that?
Well, I did not see the specific statement that Eugene put out, so I can't speak to
And,
that.
and,
But
and also let me correct him also. I think he meant to say Eugene Fagon instead of Eugene Nangwe.
Yes, sorry. Yes, Eugene Fagon.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. In any case, I did not see that statement, and I don't know the exact content of that statement. But in terms of the point you've made about opposition unity, the ANC specifically, the ANC and the CPP specifically, via Standard Bearer, Mr. Alexander Cummins, has been one of the leading voices of opposition unity in this country, who has always consistently said that there is strength in unity for the opposition. And the sooner the opposition can realize that they need to collaborate on major issues, they will be doing disservice to this country. In fact, not only has he said that he's taking steps, practical steps, in speaking to other opposition political leaders, urging them to come together and talk about common issues and take joint position on common issues such as they've now messed up census process in the country, the questionable biometric system that is being introduced, to which many Liberians are not familiar, and to which adequate preparation has been made. So Mr. Cummins has taken effort. Not only has he announced his commitment to opposition unity, but he's taking practical steps to make sure that opposition figures in this country come together and address burning national issues as a joint force.
All right. Yeah. So I don't know whether the guy, maybe the team will still want me to ask one more or 1 or 2 more questions. But anyway, let's go. Yeah. So Steve, you can take over anything that later on I'm going to ask.
Thank you. So really quick to our viewers and our listeners, you're just joining us. This is SKTV. We have here with us today Councillor Aloysius Toe from the ANC/CPP at large. As you can see, many of our viewers and our listeners have been asking about the Cash App. We posted it, the number is there. So please, if you look on the screen, you will see it. Feel free to contribute as you wish. But we also want to remind you to please be respectful of our guests, as it's always been, regardless of your disagreements. You can disagree respectfully. Please ensure that you're respectful to our guests. And you already know the platform rule. No using curse words, please and please. And we continue this conversation. We'll stick with the CPP and the ANC before we kind of move on here to other political parties or other areas. And the main issue for which Councillor Aloysius Toe is here today, we saw the I'm Tired rally. I'm Tired Suffering rally. Since after the rally, it seemed like nothing's going on. What next? What should the Liberian people expect after the rally? That's it? We just move on? What's going on?
The Wita Suffering Rally was one in a series of activities that is CPP and Tim Cummins will be undertaking or plan to undertake. So immediately after the rally was a public show, which many people are aware of and they observed. But the CPP and Tim Cummins are engaged in ground game, serious community engagement, mobilizing the population at the grassroots level in ways that the microphone and the camera will not pick up. But there are masses of people who have been mobilized, who are joining the Cummins wave and the movement for change in Liberia. So a lot is going on at the community level. Our grassroots mobilizers are in every community, recruiting and mobilizing people and bringing them to allow them to gravitate towards the Cummins message for change.
Okay, to gravitate towards the communist message for change. Here's another question for you, because you alluded to and I'm paraphrasing you here, the way in which the whole census hard neck is operating and so forth. There seems to be a public concern, both nationally and internationally. What's in play for the CPP? What is the CPP doing to ensure that this is not another scam? This is not, they're doing the right thing.
Just a minute. I don't know. One of you guys have something else open in the browser, like whatever is that message is coming in, so we keep making that noise.
Right.
Whatever it is, I want you guys to turn it off. Just have the platform browser on there, so that way we can be hearing that noise over and over. Just an observation. So you can continue.
Yeah. So what is this? What is the CPP doing to mitigate any kind of discrepancy or anything? What's going on?
Look, as I said, Mr. Cummings is quite concerned about the census process, because the legitimacy of the elections depends on if the well-conducted census. But as it stands right now, the process is flawed. He's made a public statement to that effect. And a team of inside experts and lawyers have been asked, Mr. Cummings has asked them to look at this issue, to look at the legal implications of the census and how that bears on the conduct of the elections. He's always said that credible elections, the need for credible elections in Liberia cannot be overemphasized. Any attempt to hijack the elections by the conduct of any bogus census that will not be reflective of real data in Liberia, it's not going to augur well for Liberians, and that's why it is important right now for the experts, the technicians, people with knowledge on census and population movement, and lawyers to look at the legal implications. And I think some discussions are going on to that effect. And at the appropriate time, Mr. Cummings will be informing the Liberian people.
Okay, just before we urge Sekou in for his set of questions here, I'd like to ask this question. Our debts, as we speak today, both nationally and internationally, it's pretty close, headed towards the 2 billion. Should the CPP take over? Should the Liberian people expect any kind of excuse from you guys, such as you all saw how the people that they left off with this, or you all saw how they support the country? What are you guys doing to ensure that the Liberian people, are ease when you guys take over with this money that is that is pending as debt?
Look, number one, again, both the CPP and Mr. Cummings have made it clear that anyone, whether in this current government or in his government, who presides, administers, and control public resources, will have to account as to how you expended those resources. So if we have acquired 1.2 or 1.8 billion, I don't know whatever it is, right, but it's above 1 billion, or debt, over a period of time. At the same time, our revenue generation base has increased dramatically in ways that are not consistent with social services that have been provided to the Liberian people. Then people have to account. If they acquire debt from loans from other countries that increase our debt profile, they have to tell the Liberian people how to use that money and for what. If that money has been used to fund ruling party campaigns, they will have to account for that. So both the CPP and Mr. Cummings, as a matter of policy, are poised and are determined to ensure that those who acquire those debts will have to account as to how they use the money.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Kana, it's up to you.
Okay, thank you. Once again, Councillor Toe, I want to say welcome again to SKTV. When it comes to SKTV, we ask questions based on merit. We don't consider friendship when it comes to having conversation on SKTV. Outside of SKTV, you can do all the friendship. So don't.
Ask me about it today. You don't ask me.
So yes, on this issue of having attraction, like CPP attracting people or ANC or Mr. Cummings by extension having some difficulty attracting people. For example, you just had the Retire Suffering rally. It was attended by people who wanted to go there, but I believe it did not meet the expected number of people, given what is going on in the country. On the other hand, this government, with all the bad things going on, when the government had the rally a day or two ago, there were a lot of people there. But whatever means, we don't know. Some are alleging that money was used. Some are alleging liquor, food, everything was used to bring people on. And of this matter, whatever happening in the country, in Liberia, we say seeing is believing. If you say you have supporters, when you call them, let them show up, no matter what you do and how you do it. Whatever this government is doing to bring people out to their rally or to their programs, what is the problem? What are some of the challenges that you guys are facing in making us to know that, yes, indeed, the CPP not only growing behind the scene, but people are actually gravitating towards the CPP? What are some of the challenges?
So, Seko, the two events that you made you made reference to, the CPP December 17 rally and the CDC February 4th rally, you have to also take into consideration the attending factors and circumstances that occasioned those two events. Let me begin with the CPP rally. When the CPP announced its rally, that it was going to mobilize the Liberian people to come out on December 17 to inform the world how dissatisfied they are with the bad governance of Mr. Joshua. You will bear with me and agree that elements of the ruling party took on the airwaves to indicate that the intent and purpose of the CPP rally was to destabilize the country. Not only did they say that on the airwaves, they went into communities, informing people that the CPP was trying to destabilize the country, and that was the intent. This is a fact. Threatening people, intimidating people not to go to the rally, that the government was going to respond. In fact, it was also reported that the government has put in place talks, or elements of the ruling party have put in place talks to warn people and hide them. Not only did they say that in communities, but it went from place to place, threatening people not to attend a CPP rally. So if you see probably the what you refer to as not an impressive turnout of the CPP rally, it was because of the fear factor, a fear factor which was spread and distributed by elements of the ruling party. Bring that to the February 4th rally of the CDC. Look, what you saw yesterday was a rented and borrowed crowd. We are aware that they dished out $10 to each person to attend that. They sent t-shirts around. They promised bags of rice. Individuals were threatened, civil servants were threatened that if they didn't attend that, they will lose their jobs. What do you expect? To stay home and lose their job? Or to go and pretend as if you are a sedition by $10? Many chose to be seditions by $10. So yes, the perception they created yesterday of having crowd was a fake perception. Now, any sensible person wouldn't buy that.
Okay.
You know that CDC prior to this rally has held numerous 1 million rallies. The last 1 million rally they held, not more than 1,000 persons attended. So when did CDC become popular? After 2 months?
Let me ask you this. The attempt to undermine the Retire Suffering rally, I believe, was not only done by the ruling party, but also United Party people did it. And some people, supposedly calling themselves opposition, also undermined that rally. But we did not see that kind of effort to undermine the governing parties rally in the same manner that they did with the CPP, what does that say about opposition as a whole?
Look, you are right, Sekou. There are individuals within the opposition community who think that once it is Alexander Cummings and the CPP, it should not be done, even if it is in the interest of the Liberian people. But woe unto those people. And I'm glad you realize that the same effort they put in to undermine the CPP rally, they were lost. They could not put in the same effort against the CDC rally. So that should also speak to the hypocrisy of certain individuals within the opposition community. However, despite the fact that there are individuals in the opposition community that continue to undermine the general interest of the Liberian people, I think the Liberian people know their real leaders, and they know that the CPP stands for what Liberians need in general. So despite of what might have been the low turnout of the CPP rally, rest assured that there are many Liberians who did not attend our rally out of fear, because they were threatened that they would be brutalized if they attended.
Okay.
But mind you, at the ballot box, being a secret ballot, they are not going to be brutalized. And they still support the CPP.
Okay. So, according to Mr. Cummings, when we last spoke on this platform, he told us, especially, I think we were in Sacramento, California, he told the Liberian people that in the first 1 or 2 months of 2023, that he will be coming up with a name of his running mate. Now we are in the second month. We haven't heard anything. Where are we? And if at all we'll hear something, do you care to share with us some of the names on the short list?
So if I heard you correctly, quoting Mr. Cummings from that interview, he said he was going to name his running mate in the first 3 months of the year.
First 1 or 2 months, maybe 3 months, but we
okay,
are in
let's assume he said.
month.
Okay, so let's assume he said in the first 1 or 2 months. Well, we are in the second month. Today is the 5th. Am I mistaken? Yeah, today is the 5th. So.
Yeah. We shouldn't have that problem, please.
True FM 96.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's get the True FM off for now. Let answer that question. Then we'll come back because they're trying to do a news bulletin in about 5 minutes. Well, I'm not sure what's going on with that, but let's make sure we continue with the conversation. I hope Mr. Toe can come back.
I think Mr. Toe can come back on. Councillor Aloysius Toe can come back on because this is very important. Yeah. So let me see if I can remove him and hopefully he can come back on. Okay,
I just took him off.
Yeah, so, but oops, I made a huge sorry. But Mr. Kane, based on, I think the conversation is about to get more interesting because there seem to be a lot of things at play here, especially with the CPP. The efforts that were exerted by some members of the opposition to ensure that the retired sovereign rally does not hold, like you said earlier, does not seem to be the same effort that were exerted by members of the same opposition who claim to be opposition, both from the Unity Party, the Liberty Party, and other parties. So
they did nothing to undermine the government's own of writing, but yet every effort were made to make sure that they undermine the CPP's writing. What does that say?
Yeah, that's I didn't see it that way, but now that you've said it, it's very concerning. Not only that from an opposition standpoint, but from a liberalistic or nationalistic standpoint. But good to have you back, Councillor Toe.
Yeah, sorry, and welcome to Liberia. I had a power outage, so I had to go switch to generator.
That's why we need a better government in Liberia that will make sure everything will be good. I'm not sure if you guys have that. You guys have that installed to make Liberia better. We have a better electricity, better internet.
Mr. Cummings is a reservoir of experience. He's a reservoir of leadership skills. He has the best team. He has the best approach. He has the best plan.
So you were responding to the question I asked.
So as I said, so yes, we are in the 5th day of the 2nd month, and I hope he's, of course, that Mr. Cummings is almost to the end of identifying his running mate, and he's targeting Liberians, a group of Liberians with good leadership skills, with honesty, with a passion for the country and the people. And those are the kind of Liberians that are being considered.
Where is that not coming from? I'm sorry.
Several individuals. Someone
Yeah.
is calling. Sorry for that. Several individuals are been identified. I'm not going to call names specifically, but rest assured, they reflect.
No. What's wrong with calling people name on the short list? There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
They
even here in America, when people are being tapped to, to be somehow vetted, they put throw some name out there. Eventually, you can't tell exactly the main person, but at least throw some name on the short list.
Mr. Cummings is keen on having the best Liberians with integrity, with
What are some of the names on the short list, sir?
When people in due course and at the appropriate time, those names will come out.
So our own vice president, you don't want to keep that top secret from us again?
Very soon you will know your own vice president.
Okay, let me say this. How about we do this? We have some names that are supposedly on the short list. Can you confirm some of those names if you call them?
Well, you can call the names you have.
Yeah, but so will you confirm, affirm, or deny any names?
Any name you have, I'm sure they are Liberian citizens, and they are eligible to becoming one of the peaks.
Okay. First of all, we were informed that the names basically it will come from one of those 3 counties, either Lofa, Nimba, and Bon. And somehow, maybe Grand Bassa. Can you confirm that?
Yes. Every county in Liberia is eligible to produce a vice president.
Yeah, but the ones to be considered.
What is politically expedient is that you, in the presidential ticket, you need geographic balance. So if Mr. Cummings is coming from the southeast, to be specific, in Maryland County, then of course it is politically expedient and prudent to have somebody either from the west, either from northern Liberia, or from north central Liberia.
Okay, so I think I will reserve some of the names that I have, but I will go somewhere else. Maybe I'll get something out of it from there. So according to Senator Prince Johnson the other day, he said in his interview with Spoon, he said, we are talking with ANC, CPP, and we are talking with the Unity Party. Can you confirm that you people are talking with the party of Prince Johnson, which is now headed by Senator Jeremiah Kum? Are you guys in talk with them? And if yes, can you give us an idea as to what the discussion is surrounding?
Individuals within the opposition community continue to be engaged in talks at various levels. At this stage, I think it is immature, to disclose some of the actors that are involved in those talks. But what I think is important to be known is that people in the opposition community continue to get engaged in talks. They continue to talk about opposition unity, about collaboration. Whoever is involved, for me, is immaterial at this particular time. But what is important is that figures within the opposition community are engaging in talks.
All right. So Steve.
Yes.
Let me say this. We were informed that on the top of the list, we have people being considered. I'm coming back to it now. People being considered. Not that people being they have been chosen, but people being considered, put in consideration of top people to be the VP for Mr. Cummings. We are told that Mr. Councillor Tiawan Gongolo is considered. We are told Senator Jeremiah Kum is considered. We were told Senator Prince Moy was also considered. We were told Nyombli stay in discussion. We were told that what her name, the former superintendent,
Edith Gonglu. Edith Gonglu
was also in consideration. And another young man who was also from Nimba that worked for United Nations was also in consideration. Can you confirm this information, Mr. Toe?
What I can confirm to you is that there is a committee of eminent persons. There's a panel of eminent persons who have been constituted to spearhead this exercise based on our experience and knowledge of Liberia and of individuals in the country. And that panel, the leadership of that panel will be in the best position, if they choose at this time, to disclose to you who is considered and who is not considered. But again, as per the operations of ANC and the CPP, I cannot, in the absence of the leadership of that panel, I cannot confirm or deny those names that you have named.
Yeah, well, another name that was, I forgot one more name, was that was the former finance minister, Gafwan, was also, among the names that have been in consideration. So,
assuming, but not admitting that those individuals you named are the ones being considered by the panel. What is also true is that those individuals are people who have contributed to this country, who have the requisite leadership skills, and who meet the criteria of the vice presidency of this country. That is a reflection of Mr. Kumi's determination to make sure that the best of the best are brought on board to lead this country and make sure that we have a government that will be responsive to the needs and aspirations of the Liberian people.
Okay.
So Steve, they will be my last question. Then they will go to you. Mr. To laugh. So on the CP, the last time we had the chief of staff of Mr. Cummings here, now newest councillor around the block, Mariah Cllr. When the question of Mr. Cummings not wanting to be a running mate or vice presidential candidate to Ambassador Joseph Nima Boakai, she said over and over that Mr. Cummings has not been asked. Mr. Cummings has not been asked about Joseph Boakai, whether or not he wants to be his running mate or his vice president. He'll be around from the CPP in its original form to the second. Mr. Toe, we just lost him. Hopefully he will come back. Because the question I want to ask is that Councillor Mariah made it very clear that Mr. Cummings has not been asked to run as a running mate to Joseph Nima Boakai. I wanted to know whether he can confirm this information, and if not, and if yes, whether they've had any conversation, whether if Mr. Cummings is asked, should he accept it or not? Because it's one thing to assume that a man don't want to be vice president without being asked, and quite another thing when he's asked, what will be his response? Is he considering it, if at all he's asked? So hopefully Mr. Toe will come back, the Councillor Toe will come back and tell us whether or not Mr. Cummings is open to that conversation, even though he himself, he said they've been talked, he said there's no conversation between him and Mr. Boakai in that regard, direct conversation, but leaving the door open that there are conversations ongoing. So we want to know exactly whether or not, if Mr. Cummings, if Mariah's account is correct, and if yes, if Mr. Cummings is asked, whether they've had any conversation behind the scene to know whether or not Mr. Cummings should accept it. So Steve, that was going to be my other question. Hopefully he will come back and give us a clear picture. Mm-hmm. And Steve, let me say this. if at all that account of Councillor Mariah is correct, it means everything been going on. Kumi don't want to be vice president, Kumi don't want to do this, Kumi don't want to do this, Kumi don't want to do that. Those were statements throwing around because people like us and other people asked Mr. Kumi directly those questions. And Mr. Kumi said, no one goes into a competition to be second. Everyone want to be the first. But that is one thing, and quite another thing for Mr. Cummings to say. I was asked by Wakai to be his running mate, and I don't want to be. So don't you think, and if that's the case, do you think Mr. Cummings is being treated unfairly here? Because if you never been asked, and people say, oh, you're refusing to do the, you never been asked to do something, but people say you refuse.
But Mr. Kane, you know, it's Maria's right to say what she said. But I think the image in my view that was left here when Maria made such statement is that if Joseph Yuma Boaka were to ask Mr. Cummings, that possibility would be there. And I think from a political standpoint, that was not strategic.
That's why it's important that Mr. Toe clear or clarify this particular. We have Mr. Cummings plan to come here, right? I was going to ask the same question.
So
if he's asked, because that leaves the door open.
Exactly.
That no, but she didn't say outrightly that he will accept it, but he said at that point he will respond to it. But that still leaves the door open that the possibility exists.
Exactly. When you say
as you possibly accept it or deny it.
Most definitely, when you make those kind of comments, especially being close to the party involved, that sends a clear message that there is this possibility when, in fact, Mr. Cummings has said no one goes in a competition to want to run second. But here's another question that's mind-boggling. Why should Mr. Cummings go for vice presidency? Why? Is Joseph Yuma Boaka entitled to the presidency?
Yeah, but according to Mariah that day, she said people who are asking whether or not Mr. Cummings want to be vice president, they should ask Joseph Yuma Boaka whether Joseph Yuma Boaka asked her. Whether Joseph Yuma Boaka have asked or Mr. Cummings. I think that particular statement. I believe Mariah will come here one day and but the reason why I didn't want to press on that because that was not the topic of the day. And we have Mr. Cummings plan to come on here. He's yet to make it. Hopefully he will come. But since Mr. Toe is here today, I hope he will be able to answer to that question. Because we want to know.
But Mr. Kane, you know, sometimes we don't like to weigh into some of these things before people think. But I think somebody who both of you were in a competition. Both of you were in a competitive process. One person left. It's not like you were not in a competitive process. The process didn't start. Boaka decided to leave the competitive process in the CPP. Then you come back. I think if I were in the Cummings camp when that question came out, the first way, forget about being diplomatic sometimes. Sometimes you got to be straight up front to the point and let people know that because perceptions are critically important. So that people don't even carry that notion that this is something that is going to exist. Because it makes no sense for us to be in a competition. You say you will not be there again. You left. But then the thought of even coming back to ask me to be a vice president is dishonoring, it's disrespectful. Let's be honest. It's disrespectful. Because if you wanted me to be a vice president, then you should have stayed in there and let's discuss it in there. You don't leave when the competitive process wanted to start, then come back to even indulge this conversation. It's dishonoring. It's disrespectful. It should be cut off. I think the ANC people should be clear on it and emphatic that just stop having this conversation, start confusing the voters, because this alone creates a confusion in the voter and people who are pushing this message. The goal is to create confusion, to make it seem as though this thing is going to exist, create voter fatigue, create this false illusion that there will be this. People need to start speaking up to this, and they need to be very emphatic and clear. They need to be emphatic. This conversation will not happen. This conversation must not even be tolerated or welcome at any level. Boaga say he will run. Kumi say he will run. We move. Let him go run. Simple. Let the noise stop.
Yeah. But if Kumi's chief of staff is saying that Kumi has not been asked, that means they're waiting to be asked.
Exactly. So you see the point. So that creates a lot of confusion. It creates a lot of room here.
But wait, can you reach out to Mr. Councilor Toe?
Yeah, while we're talking about Mr. Can let me pick your brain on something really quick while we're with Councilor Toe here. Let me pick your brain on this really quick. What do you make of and I want you to speak of this, what do you make of church leaders, Reverend Prince Johnson, Reverend Bekube, in the church, from you can include a religious perspective, that's fine. What do you make of it? Looking from the outside, you not being a Christian, what do you make of them having this? And the president is in a constant habit of doing this. And I'm on the record of speaking of this, that the Christian community need to stand up and tell the president to stop. The same thing applies to Prince Johnson. But throwing all these jabs on the pulpit, the place that's will be considered a holy place, what do you make of it?
I think it's been disrespectful and also been disingenuous, and it speaks to the unseriousness of the parties involved. Because you cannot generally accuse or condemn the entire religion or all the pastors and clergymen and other individuals within the church. But the doers of the act, specifically in this case, President Weah and that of Senator Prince Johnson, exchanging talks using their pulpits, is very disrespectful to the church, to the religion itself, because that's not a political ground. That is, you are there to preach the word of God to the people, for people to change from doing bad things to doing good things, and enlighten the people's minds on what is good and how we should treat each other. But in using that area for politicking, it's not only disrespectful, but being very disingenuous to those people that go to that church. But that's not what they go there for. They listen to politics every day, every day on radio, on TV, on Facebook, on social media. Find a different venue for that. The people go over there to listen to the word of God, not anything else. It doesn't matter whether you are Christians, Muslim, or any other religion you may find yourself. Or religious ground is not a place for politics. Every now and then, if people are confused about certain things, you can come and speak to them on the religious aspect of that confusion, to clarify their mind, to enlighten them, to educate them, but not to use the church or the mosque to throw attacks on each other. It changes the mindset of people who go to church. It somehow contradicts what religion is all about. The pulpit should be used to enlighten, to educate, and speak to the souls and minds of the people to change from doing bad things to doing good things. But if you are engaged in politics in the church or in the mosque, you're not being fair to those people who are following you. But in Liberia, if you are doing anything, good or bad, as long some people see it in their interest, they see no problem with it. So for those who are followers of George Weah for now, and they're supporting him, they see no problem with it. He can do that every day. That's fine with them. And those who are followers of Prince Johnson, especially those in the opposition right now, every negative thing Prince Johnson is going to speak in that church, standing on that pulpit, making those comments, they find no problem with it. They think it's okay because they think it's in their favor. So it goes both ways. Whether you're in the opposition or you are with the current government, it doesn't serve the people well to use the pulpit to play politics. It's a disservice to the people in the church and very disrespectful to the religion.
And yet, Mr. O'Connor, you couldn't have said it any better. And this is why some of us have called on the religious leaders to, some of the religious leaders went to the legislature the other time when they talk about giving the Muslim community rights or holidays. They went there. They had on their suits with Bibi Bible under their arm. They choked their necks. They went there. They did to say we're going to bring war or we're going to bring confusion in the country. The thing that they're supposed to speak on now, because this thing goes a long way, it undermines the religion. It makes the religion looks very unserious. You can say in the Constitution or in legal documents that the state separation power from the church, but then you're using the same church, especially because and when President George, we asked, you see, these are some of the things that when we say, people say, oh, you need to talk to the president, you need to respect the president. Let me tell you something. The president and other people are disrespecting Jesus. Jesus is our own leader too. No, Utoso. There's a serious. The president cannot go to the church, first of all, and lie and say the people were having, intimacy, that's why they die. The president cannot go to the church when he wants to throw political jabs. He uses the church. The same thing applies to Prince Johnson. I would say to the Christian community, you all ask them to close the churches down. They're politicians. They won't go to church. Let them go visit churches on Sunday. Let the pastor preach to them because exactly they don't know what they're talking. They're undermining our religion and they need to cut this thing up. Because the next thing now they're going to be using the pulpit to insult each other. The next thing they're going to be using the pulpit to do all kind of things. So this is dishonoring to our religion. We can't continue on this, Mr. Kane. This is embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. And I've always asked why President George Weah or Prince Johnson can't go try that foolishness to the mosque. They know that they can't try it because it will never be allowed. Never. Even if they were dreaming and found themselves in the mosque, misbehaving, they will have to wake up from their sleep because they're having a bad dream. So why should we be subject to this? Why? And when we say these things, people think we're against the president or we're against somebody, but we have to protect, you got to protect your interests. President George Weah will go. What his name? Prince Johnson will go. But the religion will stay. You can't have people just come and desecrate the place, dishonor the religion, and do all the things. And everybody should just be quiet about it. Don't say nothing because of the president. No. The president.
Any update? I'm sorry, Steve. Any update on the counselor?
Who?
Because you got to make sure that we get a counselor.
No, the counselor is working his way through. I spoke to the connections here for them. He's working with. I think it's a service. I think he's having a very, 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 very bad connection. I
thought they were telling him to go because people were going
to play low. We got a lot of questions.
No, we got to put a counselor here because the counselor and people who surround Cummings and other things, some of the bashing we get on this platform, when it comes, we need to ask any question. I mean,
seriously, but for me, I have a lot of questions for him, but then we're still waiting for him.
Let's something else I wanted to bring up to you. I know yesterday you couldn't make the show, but here is something. We have been reliably informed that, in fact, and that was going to be one of my questions to the counselor, that the coalition did not endorse President George Weah. Yes, the coalition. In other words, they signed a memorandum of understanding. They didn't sign a legal document. So my question to you now is, can the CDC, the coalition, I'm not talking about the Democratic, whatever you call them, but the coalition, can they still go register to the NEC? Because they didn't sign any legal document yesterday that the coalition affixed their signature to. Can they register this to the NEC for the president to run on? Because this is very concerning.
So yesterday, I observed from the speeches that I listened to, the chairman for the CDC and somebody else, when they were speaking, I think they were more precise on the Congress for Democratic Change as opposed to Coalition for Democratic Change. I don't know whether you observed that. And I think that was done willfully. They were being strategic. That it seems like they are going in this by themselves, or all by themselves, and with some members from those collaborating parties, but not like they did holistically in the past. Before, let's say 2017, it was NPP and LPDP that joined coalition with the Congress for Democratic Change that made the institution Coalition for Democratic Change. But listening to them this time around and doing the nominating process of the president, the focus were more on the Congress for Democratic Change, which is the original CDC of George Weah. So as it stands, until those people of the coalition, I'm talking about the Constituent Party, until they can go and legally remove themselves or and tell and say, hey, we are not part of this coalition, NEC has nothing to do with what they do, internally. Until they can legally remove themselves. Even though I'm now a legal practitioner, but yes, indeed, until they can legally remove themselves, and the council is here, maybe he will help us. But until they can legally remove themselves, they still remain. NEC will have nothing to do with whatever they're doing internally. But as far as NEC is concerned, they are part of the coalition.
Yeah.
No,
we have the councillor back here, so let's.
Yeah, bring the councillor. I thought the people take the councillor out and say, "Hey, my man, people going to don't waste our thing here." So, Councillor Toe, welcome back.
Thank you. It was actually a network problem. I apologize on behalf of the general problems in Liberia.
I know. Yeah. So, the question I was trying to ask. Councillor Mariah Yokula the other day was on here. She left a lot of unanswered questions in terms of Mr. Comey's conversation with Boakai. When people ask whether or not Mr. Comey and Boakai stay talking about being running mate and vice versa, she said, before you ask whether or not Mr. Comey want to be or refuse to be vice standard bearer for Mr. Boakai, Ambassador Boakai, she said, have you asked Boakai whether or not he ever asked Comey to serve as his VP? So my question to you, can that statement leave the door open that the possibility, if he's asked, it could be a yes or no? So can you confirm, you being around the CPB from the get-go, from the onset, have you had any conversation? Or do you know whether there has been any conversation between Mr. Comey or anybody within the range for Mr. Comey, or Boakai asking Comey to be vice president? And if not, if Mr. Boakai, Ambassador Boakai called Mr. Comey today, hey, Mr. Comey, come and be my vice president, what would be his response? You being the Secretary General of the ANC, as by extension, the CPB.
Thank you very much, Sekou, for the question. Firstly, I'm not aware of any such discussion, and I'm not aware of any such request from any quarter. And I'm now also in a position to speculate whether if Mr. X asked Mr. Y, what will happen. I'm not in a position to speculate, but I'm not aware of any such request having been made, and I'm not aware of any such discussion ever taking place. What is true is that Mr. Cummings is determined to becoming president of Liberia. He's working towards that, and he's determined to making sure that as president of Liberia, as the next president of Liberia, he's going to address the plight of the Liberian people. And this is his determination, and this is the position of the CPP at this time.
Okay, so that confirms what Morales said, that conversation has not happened, to say Ambassador Bwaka had never called Cummings to ask him to be a running mate. So that confirmed that, correct?
According to you, Councillor Cllr said that kind of discussion has not been held. I am saying I am not aware of any such discussion.
Sure. So that's a confirmation. You don't want to say yes, but that's a confirmation. As far as you're concerned, it's not happening. So you're confirming what she said. Yeah. Okay. You're not aware. I mean, and I believe if this were to happen, you'll be aware. Correct?
So, to the extent that I'm not aware, I believe that such conversation has not happened.
Okay, thank you. Steve, back to you.
Well, Councillor Toe, I real Councillor to the minimum of
but let me tell you something. The difference between him and I said this before. The difference between Councillor Toe and many people that I've interviewed, he's very measured with his answer. And he can go very short with his answer. Anybody that can do that, they leave very little room for more questions. Because why? The more you talk, the more you open yourself to more questions. So you like to be very measured and precise when you give me answers. So that is clear.
Okay, well, Councillor Toe, let's get on to this last part of the body politics. And I want to switch here just a little bit, but let's get on to the last part of the body politics for now. Yesterday we saw the CDC, we saw the Coalition for Democratic Change, however you want to term them as, whether that is CDC, the small one, the B one. Rumors has it, and up until now the document has not been made available to us. We've requested the documentation from several sources. Nothing has been made available to us. That members of the coalition did not actually sign a document as a coalition endorsing the current president for a second term. Now, here are my questions. The first question is it legal for them to even submit anything as the coalition to NEC? Secondly, in this context that I've spoken in, did it deceive the Liberian people or the world at large?
Again, that is CDC's internal affairs. But to respond to your question directly, to my understanding and interpretation, the event of yesterday does not amount to a requirement to submit anything to NEC that Mr. Weah has been endorsed. That was an internal endorsement of what they call the Coalition of Democratic Change, that they are going to be fielding Mr. Weah. That endorsement will have to be legitimized at a convention. The elections laws call for a convention. That endorsement of candidates be done at a convention. That rally yesterday was not a convention. So any result from that rally cannot be communicated to NEC.
Okay.
At the appropriate time, when the CDC should have chosen to host a convention where all delegates, by law, all delegates of its constituent coalition should be present, then a decision should be made. And it is the decision from that will be communicated to NEC. But what was done yesterday was just a political game.
Well, but let's go back a little bit, because as a councillor, maybe you need to clarify this for us. If a coalition is endorsing someone, do they present a document to NEC to say the coalition is doing this, not necessarily just the CDC in itself? So if the CPP presents a document, even though Alexander Cummings is from the ANC, if the Liberty Party would stay in the CPP and they present a document, it will be the CPP. That means that two other parties presenting one person. So if three parties did not sign yesterday and they want to carry President George, we have to register him on the ballot. My question to you now is, how are they going to register him? As just the CDC or coalition?
So let's break it down and be clear about it. As I understand it, currently the Elections Commission recognizes the Coalition for Democratic Change.
Yes, which expired in October. So there is no more coalition.
So the point is that according to their coalition document, if that document expires in October, then by default they must have withdrawn and legitimize the status of the individual parties with the Elections Commission. If that has been done, then NEC is dealing with them individually.
Okay.
So what I did yesterday, assuming that they've communicated with NEC, withdrawn that particular coalition document which expired, which has no legal force right now, or by default they've gone to the individual status. So if they went yesterday and signed another document, it means only those who signed the yesterday document will have to make new presentation to NEC that the current coalition that expired now exists under this form.
Okay.
Because according to their own document, it expired in October last year. So technically and legally, by default, unless new documentation filing will be required by NEC, all of them go back to status quo.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Maybe other people might have some, but I know Sekou or someone will come back today. But let's keep in this context of NEC. Most recently, it's been reported that I think you represented a group. I'm not sure if, and I stand to be corrected on this, something in Liberia called, I don't know, PALAC, Public Interest Law Advocacy Center. And I think there's a release here on February 3rd. A couple of Liberians in the diaspora, long story short, have prayed NEC and the legal bodies in Liberia to grant, us Liberians who live in the diaspora the rights to vote, to participate in this upcoming election. Where's the case? How far are you and what's going on?
Yes, that is correct. I represent, through the Public Interest Law and Advocacy Center, PILAC, I represent a group of Liberians in the United States, including Cindy Martin Kwe, Dr. Francia Chinoweth Richardson, Madam Amada Wright, and Madam Eloise Page. They have asked us to represent them to file a class action with the Elections Commission of Liberia on behalf of all Liberian citizens who are of voting age, who reside outside of this country, whether in Europe, whether in America, whether in Asia, whether in Africa. We did that last year, November. The Elections Commission called for hearing this month. We had a first hearing, and yesterday we had a final argument. The Elections Commission reserved ruling, probably within 2 weeks, to come down with a determination as to whether the petition as prayed for by the 4 Liberian women on behalf of all Liberians in the diaspora will be granted or denied. So basically, in their petition, the 4 women contended that they are Liberian citizens, and as Liberian citizens, they are entitled to vote. Not only are they entitled to vote, but they are entitled to vote by absentee ballot, as provided by Article 80C of the Liberian Constitution, which requires that every Liberian citizen of voting age must be registered in a constituency and allowed to vote either in person or by absentee ballot. In addition to that, the 1986 Elections Law of Liberia, Section 3.1c, as amended in 2004, also provides that the Elections Commission must register all Liberians of voting age in a constituency, and they must be allowed to vote in a voting center to be established by the Elections Commission in the place where the voter resides. So the basic argument is, if the Constitution says, look, the Liberian citizens have the right to vote, even if they are outside Liberia, they should vote by absentee ballot. And the elections law said the Elections Commission is under authorization to register Liberian voters where they are. Then it goes to say that the Elections Commission must take steps and make effort to register Liberians, at least in the Liberian Council or embassies in the countries in which those Liberians are. So what they are praying for is for the Elections Commission of Liberia to establish mechanisms and procedures wherein Liberians living in the United States, for instance, would be allowed to go to the Liberian embassy in Washington, D.C., or the Liberian consulate in Minnesota or in New York and cast their register and then cast their vote on elections day. The reason behind that is one is because it's required by law, by the Constitution of Liberia. And the second policy reason behind that is the economic burden that places on Liberians to exercise the right to vote. As you know, Article 1 of the Liberian Constitution gives Liberians the right to choose the form of their government and to alter that government when their happiness so desire. That includes Liberians who are in the United States. Now, if you, Steve or Sekou, you wanted to come to Liberia to vote, you buy air ticket, $2,200, just to come and register. And by the time your living expenses in Liberia, by the time you leave Liberia, maybe you have spent $1,800. That's $4,000 just to register. You go back to the United States on elections day. You come back to Liberia again. You spend another $4,000. That's $8,000 just for you to participate in one elections. Now, it is estimated that there are over 500,000 Liberians in the United States alone, and about more than 200,000 of them are of voting age. So let's take the least number, 200,000. If one person would be required to spend 8,000 United States dollars just to participate in their country's election, that goes to say all those 200,000 Liberians in the United States will have to spend $1.6 billion just to participate. That's enormous economic burden you are placing on Liberians simply because the Elections Commission has failed to just establish voting center at the embassy in the country of residence. So these Liberians are saying, look, in order to release this, now $1.6 billion is no small money. That is almost 75% of the country's GDP, more than 50% of the country's GDP. That is the burden you are placing on a group of Liberians, a class of Liberians to bear simply because they have to partake in elections that has been guaranteed them by the Constitution of Liberia.
Truth FM 96.1, the heart and soul of Liberia.
Aloysius Toe is frozen, but this is an interesting conversation for those in the diaspora. I'd like to remind you that you are watching SKTV. We're hoping that the counselor will be back. We have the Cash App number there. I know many of you have been reaching out to me. I can see some of the text messages. What the Cash App number? The Cash App number written right over there in big bold letter there. It say SKTV. Let me make it blue. Maybe because it's red, so some of you can see it. Because yesterday was blue day. So let me go back to the blue day.
So I beg you, please. Steve, why you do that on the Cash App thing? Something that I just listened to. I think it's very important that we talk about it. The names that were called right here, Yasindi and plus the other three ladies, they are not strangers to the Liberian people and to the Liberian politics. You could like them or hate them, but they're being involved in politics. You may not be in the same political party with them, but you share the same idea when it comes to making Liberia better. But you believe in different people through whom you believe Liberia will change. But this initiative that they are undertaking, I think it's very big. I think they need to expand their reach. Specifically here in the United States, there are thousands of people that share this idea, that I believe in, that we Liberians in the diaspora have the right to vote like every other person. Look at other countries that we believe that in Liberia, we believe in ourselves. We even think we know better than a lot of people from the sub-region. Liberian people, when you ask them, they think they know better than Guinea people. They think they know better than Sierra Leoneans. But all those people, they are better than us when it comes to exercising their right as in terms of politics. Every election here every election in Guinea, people can vote here in America and other part of the world, and their vote can be counted. There are other people, other African countries, when they have election, the people in the diaspora can vote in their elections because the people they stand for themselves, and their politicians in their respective country also stand for them. So I think they should expand their reach in terms of this initiative, create a lot of awareness here in America, call conferences, go to platform, and make this a serious discussion, even if it doesn't work this year or this election, at least by the next election, Liberians in diaspora should be able to vote. We Liberians, we feel like we know everything, we know better than everybody else, but everybody doing better than us. That's just a fact. We just get muff, presenting ourselves as better people, knowing it all, but we do nothing with what we know. It doesn't benefit us. So I think it's a good thing if Cindy and everybody are listening. They need to double up their effort to make sure they create awareness. A lot of people want this to happen. I know that. We talk about it once. I know the kind of information that I receive in my inbox, people who really, really want to see it happening. But they shouldn't limit it to just, within a circle. They need to expand. They need to go above and beyond party discipline. They need to go, all out in every Liberian circle, in every corner of this country, even Europe, even Australia, in every part of the world. This is a very big initiative. And if they can be the one to pull it out, trust me.
Yes, Mr. Kane, but yes, I think this is a big initiative. I agree with you that this needs to be done. On the flip side, too, I'd also like to encourage other Liberians. When I first came across this document for the very first time, I think it was very, very big and very important when I read through it. So my only caution concerns to Liberians all around the world, even those who are seditious. This gives you the opportunity to vote for President George Weah. This is a worthy cost. It's important for the next generation, for our children. It's a huge, huge endeavor that would make our voices be heard across the world so that you can be in the diaspora. I know Guineans do vote in the elections from here. I know Americans who are not in America, those in Germany, can vote through their respective embassies or the bases, the military bases. The different methods that are used for them to be part of the voting process. This is something that the first part of this fight was to get us to be legalized. Fine, that's done. The second part of it now is it makes no sense for you to have to be Liberian and don't have rights to vote. You must be able to come to the table. That's a huge added advantage. So I'm just, calling on other Liberians in as much that you're sending other people. Don't look at it from a political standpoint. Don't look at it from an ANC or Kumis or whatever CPP standpoint. Look at it from having the rights to your right as a Liberian. And guess what? The next generation would benefit from it. There could even be an economic impact from this, from the government, if they look at it from that perspective. Maybe there could be a fee attached to this to save $10 per Liberian, to come and vote, $15 or whatever it would be. It would benefit us. But again, Liberians need to open their mind to this. This is not a political venture. This is a venture that could benefit all of us in the next generation. Don't stay away from it and say because, the ANC women initiated it. It doesn't matter who initiated it. And today, CDC initiated the rights to vote, or once a Liberian, still a Liberian, and every Liberian is excited about it. Every Liberian is excited about it. So it's important for us to get on this venture. And yes, Yasendi and other people need to come out. Amanda and I know Amanda Wright has been here. Aloysius, all of them who push this need to come out and start, like you said, creating the mobilization in the diaspora. Because let me tell you the truth, the people in Liberia, if you're waiting for them to sponsor this,
and still, let me agree with you. Sometimes when you speak the truth, it hurts. There will be people that will embrace it. There will be people that will really hate you for saying the truth. When you see Liberians in Liberia referring to diaspora Liberians, people that we help, people that we send money to on a daily basis, they refer to us as internet citizens.
Yep.
And the reason is because they feel that they have a voting right.
Exactly.
And every time you speak your mind on issues, even you present a brilliant idea, they will tell you, stop talking in America, they come here and come vote. So they think they have advantage. They think they are a better Liberian, they are more Liberian than you and I who live outside of Liberia. But when they need you, you are the best.
Yep.
But when it comes to exercising your right,
no, they don't want you to be part of it.
Liberian, they don't want you to be a part of that.
No.
That should be limited to them. So let me tell you something. Even if Liberians around the world could have a conference, just one conference, to say, you know what? If we are not participating in the political exercise in Liberia, we should not have any fundraiser for any politician in the diaspora. Trust me, they will stand for it. They will always say, you don't have right to vote, but they always run to us for support.
Yes.
All of them comes to the United States. They go to Europe, Australia, and other part of the world to ask diaspora Liberians to help them with finances. But when it comes to our right, they are muted on that. They don't care about it. But it's just like the law. It's just like a justice system. You have your right. You must go for it. If you don't go for it, they're not going to bring it to you. They're not going to come to you and say, wake up, they're right here.
Yeah.
You got to go for it.
The council.
So we are sending and all the other people that are doing this. I want to encourage them, and Cllr, who is now being a part of this process. My only advice and recommendation to you would be expand your reach. Go beyond party line. Go beyond politics. And let's make this a Liberian issue, especially diaspora Liberians. We can protest too. Our protest will be we're not even bring Cllr on here if they can't allow us to vote. Yeah, and I'm just saying something now. All the people that are traveling, coming to diaspora Liberian for money, we will not contribute to you if we can't vote. Trust me, we do that. They will do something. And when you see that they'll try to disrespect us, for example, Dylan was running, they say Dylan will win on Facebook. Dylan will win on the internet because majority of his supporters are in the diaspora. But yet they needed our money. They say Comey's supporters are also on the internet. They live in the diaspora. But yet they too, they wanted money from the diaspora. So forgetting to know that people that live in the diaspora are people, they have family too back in Liberia that get influenced on vote, which happened in the long case. But people should take this seriously. It's very, very important. Let's be serious. Let's encourage these women. Let it continue the advocacy, but they should just go beyond politics, beyond partisan politics.
Yes.
Include other people from different parties, opposition, government, everybody support us to be a part of it so that diaspora Liberian can also have a voice. I think it's a brilliant idea. It's a good initiative. So yes. Cllr Toe is back. I think I want to ask him a question about it.
Please go ahead.
So Cllr Toe, you live in Liberia. You know the mindset of our people. Every time when it comes to diaspora Liberians, in terms of participation, whether running for elective position, there's a lot of resentment, especially from politicians. And they will go and brainwash ordinary people. What is the fear? What is the fear? What are they afraid of?
Well, I think the current case at hand is not one of fear or the like or dislike of any one politician. The framers of our Constitution in 1986 recognized that there will be Liberians outside of this country on election day. And on account of that recognition, they included in Article 80C of the Liberian Constitution that Liberians should be allowed to vote by absentee ballot. So it's a right.
Oh, so this is constitutional.
It's constitutional.
Yes.
So we haven't been given this right because we never asked for it, correct?
Yes.
Precisely, precisely. But you have the right to out of.
All right, now, I'm sorry to cut you off. You continue, but now the campaign is on. I didn't know it was even constitutional.
It's in Article 80C of the Constitution that you have the right to vote either in person while you are in Liberia or to vote by absentee ballot when you are outside of Liberia. Now, what that means is that it's not for one politician to be happy for you to enjoy that right. You have the right. The Constitution says it is a right. So those who have the responsibility to ensure that elections take place in this country are also required to ensure that you vote by absentee ballot. That has not been done. There has been no guidelines. There have been no provisions in terms of budgeting by the National Elections Commission of Liberia to make sure that you enjoy your rights. And we are saying that even if they were to require you to vote, the 200 persons alone, we're not talking about Liberians in Asia. We're not talking about Liberians in Africa, other parts of Africa. We are not talking about Liberians in Europe. We are just talking about the number of Liberians in the United States alone, about 200,000 more. If they were to subject you to travel to Liberia to vote on elections day, spend maybe 1 week here, and then come and register even before that, another 1 week, your living expenses and air ticket will make you to spend $8,000. That is 1.6 billion United States dollars just to participate in elections. And we are arguing that money, you could use that money, send it to your families and even develop Liberia, to contribute to the Liberian economy, than spending their air ticket. So in as much as the Constitution guarantees you the right, those who are the duty bearers that are supposed to ensure that you enjoy your right should do their jobs. That's what we are asking. Fortunately, the Elections Commission did not disagree with us. They recognize the fact that Liberians in the diaspora have the right to vote. They are, however, contending that they don't have the power to do that. It is the legislature. And we've counter-argued that the legislature gave them that power ever since to make sure that they develop guidelines. So the power to develop guidelines and make sure that all election laws are implemented and enforced is with the Elections Commission. So they rested on the final argument yesterday. The Elections Commission may likely rule in 2 weeks, and whichever party is not satisfied will proceed on appeal to the Board of Commissioners, and whatever the decision of the Board of Commissioners is, we will proceed to the Supreme Court for final determination of this issue.
I'm sorry.
Let's have Milborn ask Mr. Kane.
Yeah.
Let's have Milborn ask 1 or 2 questions. I know he'll be leaving us soon, and then we can keep.
But Milborn is here. Milborn got a question. Milborn can interrupt anytime. Milborn is the chief. He can interrupt anytime saying we have a question. Then
Yeah,
you
so
go ahead.
my job is sitting back and no job.
Yeah, Milborn, let us know. Man. Anytime you want to say something, interrupt any of us.
I know, Chief. I know, but sometimes we just gotta sit back because there are a lot of listeners out there via the radio. So yeah, Councilor Aloysius Toe, there are these things that are going on. Should I say nearly a year now? You guys have been fighting hard to make sure that you patch or you put the opposition together. We have less than 247 more days to go. So I want to know as to how prepared are you people, because you've been fighting for a very long time and up to now you are still fighting. So I don't know, how prepared are you to go for the October 10 election come this year?
The CPP is not engaged. It's not engaged in any fight. We are not fighting. The CPP is, as I indicated, is engaged in ground mobilization, community engagement. We are touching the hearts and minds of the voters at the community level. And come October 2023, the results will tell that the Liberian people have had a rude awakening against the current status quo of corruption and incompetence. Eventually will make sure that the right people are elected into power.
So follow-up question quickly before I take leave on with the Liberty Party saga, because I think you are the Secretary General for the CPP, and quite recently after the president State of the Nation address, we observed that there are two Liberty Party giving their own reactions to the president's State of the Nation address. I don't know how well are you going to address that.
I'm not aware of two Liberty Parties. I understand there is one Liberty Party recognized by the Elections Commission of Liberia and that the Elections Commission of Liberia continues to do business with. That Liberty Party was the one that was recognized to collaborate with the Alternative National Congress and jointly file a revised framework document. That is the legal Liberty Party. However, other partisans of the Liberty Party feel aggrieved and they are laying claims to leadership within the Liberty Party. That is an internal affairs of those partisans with respect to their membership in the Liberty Party. But all I can tell you is that the Elections Commission of Liberia recognizes only one Liberty Party headed by Musa Hassan Bility and continue to do business with that Liberty Party through the collaborating political parties.
All right, thank you so much. So,
Let me
time in Liberia, so I don't know.
Yeah, so, let me speak to them, Mr. Mayborn Mayborn. I want to call you Yakula though. Mayborn Kula. Yeah. So, to those listening to us in Liberia on the radio, I want to say thank you for following SKTV. We will not have 2 hours on the radio. Now, our time is about to expire in about 1 minute. But don't go away. If you get your data, tune into SKTV on Facebook or on YouTube. Let's say if you have a TV, that one you don't have to use the data. You just go turn your TV on YouTube. Type in YouTube, you'll find SKTV, you will find our live. It will be like a big TV screen. You can watch us there directly. You don't have to worry about Facebook. Yeah, so we just want to thank you to Mayborn and the entire team of Truth FM for making this possible, as always. We're always on the radio for 2 hours, 6 to 8 p.m. abroad time, every Monday, every Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So just so you know, Mike Jabate was here for a minute. Mike Jabate will be coming on also to provide us some updates as to what's going on there in Liberia. So Steve, before we leave the radio, have anything to say? We live in the radio now.
Well, what I would like to say is thanks to the counselor for, helping to take on this initiative, especially for those of us who are in the diaspora. It's critically important, and to our brothers and our sisters, our Omane, our Papine, you need to support us in this venture so that we can be able to vote to retire being internet citizens. We won't be able to vote, not to just sponsor people. Retire being internet citizen, and our life matter. So we're begging you talk to your senator there and your people there, let them sign that paper so we can vote too. To the president. What president? Yeah. President, we just nominated for second term from the city. Chief. No, I'm speaking directly to my president. My president, we who the original citizen and we just nominated you. Oh. We're coming back on the sycamore tree to ask you to please go out to vote.
They may lean everywhere. They may lean unity parties. So don't listen to him.
I still hold on though. I still hold on all the parties. So
yeah, man. So thanks to the team, man. For so on tomorrow, by God's grace, we're going to meet. We're going to see you again by the grace of God.
Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow, and then we'll be discussing something very, very, very important. Don't go away. Be on SKTV tomorrow. Be on Truth FM, 6 to 8 p.m. Labrador time. So we can let Mayborn go for now. So, Councillor Toe, we apologize. We're going to stay hold you here for a few more minutes.
No problem.
Okay. So, on this issue of people voting in the diaspora, I know it's a very important effort, like I said, but some people are looking at it from a lot of different directions. How can people contribute to this effort financially? One of our viewers just asked that question. How can they contribute? Okay, before I ask Councillor So, Councillor Toe, just a second, since Mike just joined us. Mike Jabate, how are you, sir? Hello. All right, but Mike signals is not too good. So, for those who want to contribute to this initiative, how?
I'm all right then, brother Soko. How you doing, Councillor?
How are you, my brother Jabata? How you doing?
Yeah, am I coming in? You getting me clear?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear us?
I'm hearing you loud and clear. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear him, but he's not hearing us. Steve, you're muted. We're not hearing you. So, Councillor, you can respond to the people who are really concerned about this. How can they contribute to this effort?
Well, they need to support the effort. What we are doing right now is to ensure that we take on a fight, which is not an easy fight. It's not going to be an easy fight, but we thank God that God has given us the courage and the motivation to take this on a voluntary basis. The team of lawyers who are involved, giving pro bono services free of charge, and thanks to the encouragement, the moral support of well-meaning Liberians who want to see that the Constitution is respected and the rights of all Liberians, irrespective of where they are, is also respected. So yeah, Liberians can support to the best of their abilities and whatever they want to do. But we know one thing I can say is that whatever the ruling will be from the level of the Elections Commission, the case might likely find its way to the Supreme Court to make a determination. And even if a determination were to be made by the Elections Commission, and the Elections Commission chooses not to further pursue the matter, will be compelled to ask the Supreme Court on mandamus to compel the Elections Commission and the Ministry of Finance and the National Legislature to provide the money for that. Because even if they were to institute overseas voter registration and absentee voting, it requires money. As far as we are concerned, looking at the current budget configuration, they are holding the budget debate now. There is no money in there. So the government will have to find money to make sure that elections agents are assigned at Liberian from the Elections Commission of Liberia, are assigned at the Liberian consulates, to register Liberians and to make them to vote on elections day. That requires money. The argument may come where the money will come from. We've already identified that. We've done extensive budget analysis of the national budget. We know where the CDC government has hidden money to fund their elections. And we want to ask the court, tell them to use that money to fund the election, to fund elections instead of funding partisan politics, using public budget lines to fund partisan politics.
So you haven't answered the question correctly, maybe to the satisfaction of people who are asking the question, as to how and where can they contribute to this effort financially.
They will have to contact the lead petitioners. There are 4 Liberians who have petitioned: Yesini Martin Kwe, Francine Chinewith Richardson, Louis Page, and Amara Wright. They are the lead petitioners. And mind you, this is a class action. They are serving as class representatives of all Liberians who are similarly situated like themselves, who are eligible to vote. And eligibility of voting Liberian requires that you be 18 years of age, you be Liberian citizen, you be of sound mind, you must have not been convicted before. That's what it requires. So all Liberians outside of this country who are 18 years of age, who have not been convicted and disenfranchised, who are of sound mind, are eligible to vote. These are the ones that the 4 Liberian women are representing. So in terms of support, I think you channel that and seek to hold discussion with these women and see how you can support it.
All right. Thank you very much. Now let's go to Mike Jawada, since his internet is not stable, being part of the remote part of Liberia. Mike Jawada, where are you? Are you in Bapolo? I think so. The internet just went off again. Yeah. So, Steve.
Yes, I think we will have. We'll have to contact the four ladies that.
I think we got to have a show with them.
Yes, we'll contact them so that we can
on this effort,
them.
so we can also galvanize a lot of support from the Liberian people.
Yes,
but let me tell you the truth. Liberian people, sometimes they can be supportive of certain things, but from the start they would tell you, "Oh, this is a good thing. Let's do that. We push kind of shove." I would love to see how much they can support and how far they can go with it.
Well,
the only question I wanted to ask the councillor is it possible? Is it possible that this can be effectuated in this election cycle? Or maybe let's work on it until maybe, if not possible this year or this election cycle, maybe another time.
Look, I'll tell you one thing. Let's get the likely scenario where the Supreme Court were to, or the Elections Commission, and both the Elections Commission and the Supreme Court were to rule, recognizing the right of Liberians in the diaspora to register and vote, and placing that responsibility on the Elections Commission to take measures that Liberians Liberians outside the country should register and vote. And then the Elections Commission were to come and say, well, we don't have the time. Well, they have to convince us, they provide compelling reason that they are out of time. Or maybe they could come and say, we don't have the resources. And we are saying we prove that they have the resources and they are out of time. But once that right is recognized and the responsibility is placed upon them, then they have to say, like, it's not feasible at this time during this election cycle to do that. And they have to give compelling reason for violating the fundamental right of Liberian citizens. They have not been able to do that yet. So the thing is, and that's why we are hoping, even before the voters registration ends, that we need to get outcome. When Councillor Margaret Jones sued the Elections Commission of Liberia and that he needed to be on the ticket, the Supreme Court told them that he has to be on the ticket. But the Elections Commission said, "But we already printed the ballots." The Supreme Court said he has to be on the ticket. So they have to go and work that out how to do that. You know, the Elections Commission.
I'm sorry. So on the finance of this thing, the financial aspect, I just look at it like we assume that we have over 500,000 Liberians, but you talk about 200,000, to be somehow approximately at the age of voting age. So even if Liberians, if you charge Liberian in the diaspora, especially in America, say, hey, pay $50 to register, 200,000 will give us about 10 million. 10 million, small, easily. And then any Liberians in America, when you tell them, say you will vote in the election, spend $100 to register, they will pay that money. So that means, assuming that at least 200,000 people will register, if it's $50, that's 10 million. If it's $100, that's 20 million. That can also help even pay for the cost to facilitate that process, to have the process going as soon as possible. But the thing is, the willingness of the people to do it. So can we say that this will benefit everybody in terms of political persuasion, in terms of being the current government or opposition? You think this will benefit everybody or one party over the other?
No, this is not going to benefit one party. It's going to benefit CDC, it's going to benefit CPP, it's going to benefit UP, it's going to benefit Liberty Party, it's going to benefit MDR, it's going to benefit any and every political party. Those Liberians who are in the United States are not for one political party. They support every political party. Some of them are independents. They are interested in what is good for Liberia. So this is not a partisan project. It is a Liberian project. It is a project to ensure that all Liberians are guaranteed their right to vote. Their right to universal suffrage should be respected and protected. This is the project. So it's not a partisan. I happen to be from one of the opposition political parties, but I'm also advocating for seditions in the United States to be given the right to vote. I see them on on Facebook usually when they are having their CDC programs but they don't have the right. They are not given the right to vote until they come to Liberia, spend over $4,000 or $8,000. And we trying to help them to vote where they are, and we hope our policymakers, our judges, our election commissioners will find reason to understand that the right to vote is inviolable. It cannot be violated. It cannot be curtailed by any individual without an order from the court. And this is why we are calling on all Liberians, both home and abroad, to ensure that all Liberians are given the right to vote, no matter where they are.
Well, thank you, Councillor Toe here. Let me just ask you my last question for the day. I know we're 2 hours now, past 2 hours here, but let me ask you my last question for the day. There's been precedents set in our country wherein individual or a person or group of people sued the Liberian government at large, either because of, hypothetically, and I know you wouldn't like to speak hypothetically, but because this also has some political implication to some extent. Is there a plan to take this particular case out of Liberia, just in case people want to step on it, people want to not respect the rights of Liberians in the diaspora or abroad? What do you say? What are the possibilities?
Look, under the laws of Liberia, the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of legal issues. I have confidence in the Supreme Court to determine this matter. And I believe that if the case were to ever get to the Supreme Court is going to determine the matter based on the law and the facts. At the same time, Liberians have the option to proceed to the ECOWAS Court, for instance, for a determination on the violation of their rights. If they believe that adequate remedy will not be accorded them under Liberian laws, or fair, adequate remedies will not be accorded them under Liberian laws, they can proceed to the to the ECOWAS Court and claim violation of their right to vote. That is also legally permissible.
Okay, thank you for answering our question. Definitely, we would be reaching out to the people in charge of this petition, at least in the diaspora, to hear from them so that other Liberians can engage them, from the diaspora, because again, this is a big venture, and we say thanks to you and the team, and would look forward to hopefully engaging you again on political issues, because we have lots of questions for you. I know your internet will saying that, bro, acting up, but we definitely like to ask a lot of questions about the CPP, the ANC, your candidate, Mr. Alexander Cummings, and other political parties, in as much that you refuse to admit or deny to some of the names we call here. We like to push back again, to get you to talk a little bit.
Anyway, we got some breaking news on you people, so we'll break the news. We'll break the news if you all fail to come to public.
If I feel to talk it, we're talking.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk it right now, but I got some information that we'll be sharing with the public. If the people themselves can come on the stage, we want to respect the people's privacy. Equally so, the public right to know is important to us. So as a media platform, but again, Councillor Toe, it is always a pleasure to have you on here. I like your conversation, like I told Steve the last time. I like the way you let to answer your question. You let to limit your answer. You let to be precise and very measured. It's good, because for me, when you're talking to me, the more you talk, the more you open yourself to a lot of questions. So if you limit your answer, then that will be good for you. As a politician, you can get yourself in a lot of hot water. But again, before you leave, though, now you have two parties currently in the CPP. And we don't know how many parties will join later. Steve, do you know what that is? Making that stuff?
I think it's my computer.
It's from the
yeah, message. I don't know whether you got WhatsApp or something. Open
Yeah, I think on my computer.
Yeah, just
wherever-
close the browser. Just close the browser that they're making that stuff.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Let me see.
It's okay because
I think it should be okay now.
yeah, thank you. So it kind of distracting, when it happens like that. So
Yeah.
we don't know how many parties we join later on, but I want to know that if Mr. Cummings appoints his or nominates his running mate, does it necessarily have to come from the other party in the collaboration, or it wouldn't matter? It can come from anywhere.
Under the framework agreement, under the current framework agreement, Mr. Cummings is not restricted to select his running mate only from one of the ruling parties. He can select his running mate from anywhere, from any political party or from outside of political parties, even from the church or from the mosque or from a civil society organization. He's free to select from anywhere across the country.
Something happened.
Okay, that's good to know.
I think my own account was somehow attacked.
Yeah, because it went out temporarily.
Yeah, and you know what happened? The whole thing just crashed. He tell me say something went wrong. Yeah. So I didn't get the answer, but what was it?
No, but basically I said Mr. Cummings is free to choose anyone outside of the framework, outside of the CPP, because the framework agreement specifically said he can choose anyone from across the country, not only from any of the parties. If he prefers to choose from one of the constituent parties, beautiful. If he prefers to choose from anywhere outside of the constituent parties from any other political party, he is free to do so. Or if he doesn't want to choose from any political party, he wants to choose any librarian from any walks of life, he's free to do so. That is clear, is spelled out in the framework document.
So that mean when we get our voting, we're on this side in a PCU.
Well, Sekou, probably you're on the list.
No, don't much TV. I let SKTV. I want to stay on SKTV. I want to stay on SKTV. So I can go to question Mr. Toe when they take power. Yeah, so
that's good.
Yeah, so somebody asked, going back to the diaspora voting. Somebody wanted to know if this is limited to diaspora in America. I know it's not, but I want you to expand and make them to understand that this is not about just Liberian in America, but across
this is not only about Liberians in America. It's about all Liberians outside of Liberia. Liberians in Europe, Liberians in Asia, Liberians in Africa, Liberians in America. The petition was filed on behalf of all Liberians outside of Liberia, asking the Elections Commission to create mechanisms and procedures, at least at the Liberian consulates and embassies in those countries where Liberians are. So, for instance, if Liberians are in Europe and it appears that Liberia doesn't have embassies in all European countries, the logical decision would be to have a voting center at the nearest Liberian embassy that is responsible for those countries.
All right. So, Steve, you want to take a few calls? Maybe a few people have questions to ask, or you want to close for today?
Well, we've gone over the 2 hours mark. I think we should close for today, and hopefully, because we can't keep the counselor for too long, so that next time we invite him, then he say, "You're told all my data that time, I get data."
I don't know what said he didn't get data when you make a CPP and ANC behind.
Well, I know about
the rich people party.
No, that's the Liberian People's Party. It's not.
Yeah, but they say the part of Liberian people, per our record, all the other fundraising, when they put making $3,000, yeah, you will be making $100,000.
Which means ANC partisans are generous and they have love for country. They want real change.
When we went to Sacramento, right? Somebody was taking notes. The money. They person is against ANC, a person not support ANC. So what they were doing, so I was watching, I was just behind the camera, Steve the one in front of the camera, nobody was seeing me, but I was just reading all the comments. Somebody was taking notes. 10,000, 10,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. The kid up when the person say, oh shit, I lost count. These people. He said, the person said, these ANC people, they can be broke, they can stay hungry. But when it comes to comics, they will go in their cover and go take the money, they can't give to comics. The person said, I lost count. They lost count. But imagine that's how much ANC people then can donate to their party. Yeah. I'm really jealous of you guys. But they are selfish when it comes to giving to other people. They're not giving to SKTV. People are talking about every day. When they come here, they can't contribute anything. But when they come here, 10,000, 3,000, 5,000, 4,000, when they come here, they get 5,000 to SKTV, half for them.
Yeah, but Mr. Cannon, send the SGs here. Maybe send the SG here before he gave his closing statement. Send the SGs here. Going forward, before ANC people, just put in your memo now.
We're not even bringing that here again, sir.
For money, before ANC people come on the platform, will charge you.
We're not even bringing that here no more.
Now, election will charge you.
Are you going to charge everybody or just ANC people?
No, for now, we'll start with ANC people, then we'll go up the ladder.
Then get ready for a lawsuit for intentional discrimination.
No. Right now, waiting for UP to finish the rally, the money they will start charging them.
So once we do it for everybody, we can get problem with
that. And again, we'll be reaching out to the women, Yasindi and Dr. Richardson and other people to come and talk about that. We believe that's a very important conversation to have. But even then too, because they have ANC attachment, we will not bring them. Because the too stingy, man. Steve, we gotta go now.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, the best ANC person that Joseph Conto. Because I want back and allow him. Joseph Conto is good. All the other people there, we got problem with them, including communists. We got problem with all of you, including the SG. So yes, Steve, it was yeah. So SG, we'll be talking to you. You need to come back to talk about more. We'll be focused on politics.
Sure.
And also, we like your brain because of your illegal mind. There are a lot of legal issue, and that's why we brought Mariah the last time. She's very good, and we in the diaspora here. Councillor Jerome Verdi is one of our people that we depend on when it comes to legal issues. He's very good as well. So we want to say thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you again. And yes, Steve, that's it.
Well, thanks to our viewers and our listeners. The number for the Cash App is still pinned on there. Feel free to contribute as you wish. And like you said earlier on, even though we engage the people that are, pushing this bill, and we know that it would benefit us in the diaspora, but in La Bro can say when somebody watching your body, watching your stomach, so why would be bringing them on the show? They got to pay to come on the show. And you understand, Mr. Kane? You see it? Yeah.
You I can't leave everything with you because I don't want to tell you, no, a lot of things. But now,
leave it with me. I understand our people. They can work with me, I go with them. We understand each other.
Now I don't understand where you're coming from.
All right,
everything we left with you, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
You and your Maya Cindy. I'll leave everything with you.
She will pay.
Yeah. Your mom said she not pay, she not coming here.
No, she not coming here, she will pay. But anyways, thank you, and let's have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be on tomorrow by the grace of God. Have a good weekend, stay safe. Let's go find a friend like us.
Lump. If you not want betrayal.